With Will Bangura, answering your pet behavior and training questions. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host and favorite pet behavior expert, Will Bangura.
Would you like to go on walking?
Y'all ready for this?
All right. Hey, thanks everybody for joining me. I'm Will Bangura.
And I'm Jordan Marsteller.
And you're listening to an episode of Dog Training Today. Hey, if you're watching us on Facebook, do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that share button. If you're listening to us on your audio podcast, if that's Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Amazon, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcast, do us a favor. Please give us a 5-star review. That way we get to reach more people. If you're listening or watching to this on YouTube, make sure that you hit the like button, the subscribe button, hit that bell. Make sure that you always get notified when we're going to be doing another episode of Dog Training Today.
Absolutely.
So today's the 15th. It's the day before Father's Day. Happy Father's Day, because I don't know if I'll see you tomorrow. So I want to say happy Father's Day.
Thank you. Happy Father's Day to you as well, Will.
Thank you. And you know what else it is? It is National Dog Dad Day. That's right. The day before Father's Day, and today it happens to fall on the 15th, Saturday, is a national holiday to celebrate all of you dog dads that are out there that are taking an active role in your dog's life. So that is something we're going to celebrate as well. All you dog dads, happy Father's Day. Not only tomorrow, if you have one of those little human kids running around, but happy Dog Day, Dad. Dog Day, Dad. That's hard to say. Happy
Dog Dad Day.
Dog Dad, 3 Ds. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. So we want to talk about a few things today. One of the things I want to talk about is how do you use treats the right way? Because, you get a lot of people out there saying, well, my dog will do it as long as I've got my treat pouch on, or my dog will do it as long as I've got food in my hand, or,
absolutely.
But if I don't have food, my dog won't listen to me.
Yeah.
And so we need to talk about the right way and the wrong way to use food. But the first thing we need to talk about is what it's like for a dog when you put a treat pouch on and that cues the dog. What does that treat pouch mean? We need to change that, Jordan, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing, besides changing the cue and the association of what that treat pouch means, we need to talk about why we even need a treat pouch, because so many people are training without a treat pouch, and that's a huge mistake.
Yeah, absolutely.
So do you want to jump in, talk about the two things that are, what is this thing I'm talking about when I say a cue with the treat pouch, and why we need to use that treat pouch?
Absolutely. I think I'm going to start off with an example. Think about every time that you put on your shoes, or actually, let's do one that even more dogs react to. The moment that you touch that leash.
Yeah.
All you have to do, you're cleaning your kitchen and the leash is on the kitchen table, and you pick it up to move it because it doesn't belong on the kitchen table, and your dog goes bonkers. And the reason for this is because every single time that you pick up that leash, it gets connected to your dog and they get to go outside. Every single time. And what this is doing, it's what we call a pre-departure cue. Your dog has learned that before we exit this home, one of the very first things that occurs is that leash gets picked up, right? So they've now associated you picking up that leash with something very fun. And what happens is if you tell your dog, hey, sit, and your dog sits and they don't get a treat, right? And you don't have on your treat pouch. Your dog goes, oh, they weren't wearing their treat pouch. I didn't get a treat. But then you do it again and again and again and again. But then one day you put on your treat pouch. And the moment that your treat pouch goes on, suddenly dog is getting treats put into their mouth. Every 5 seconds, they're getting these treats. And then you take the treat pouch off and those treats go away. Now your dog has learned, if that weird contraption isn't on mom or dad's hip, I don't get yummy food. But when it is on mom and dad's hip, I get yummy food. We need to remove that correlation, that conditioning, that association. And the way that we do this, very simple. Step one, you always wear your treat pouch.
Oh,
That's
no.
the first thing.
Wait a minute. You're telling me I've got to wear my treat pouch all the time?
All the time.
No,
The only
you mean-
exception.
You mean only wear it when I'm training, right?
No, definitely not. Because if you only wear it, firstly, let's correct that. Everything is a trainable moment if you're prepared for it.
Right.
Everything is a trainable moment.
You don't know if your dog's going to do something you like, something you want.
Yeah.
You want to have that motivator, that food reward with you.
Exactly.
But you're talking about changing the association so that just like the example you use with the leash.
Yeah.
And how the dogs just associate, listen, because if you're not training and the worst thing you could do, go grab the treat pouch, put it on, train, after training, take it off. Worst thing that you could possibly do.
It absolutely is, because your dog just realized that the moment that treat pouch gets taken off, I don't have to listen anymore. Versus, think about it this way. Now, let me give a little bit of context here. When I say always wear the treat pouch, you don't have to wear it to bed, and you don't have to wear it if your dog isn't with you. But what does that mean? What do you mean by dog isn't with you? I mean, if you're in the same home as your dog, your treat pouch is on. But if you're leaving the house without your dog, or your dog is leaving the house without you, you don't have to wear your treat pouch. So what you should do is set your treat pouch up in a way that it becomes a part of your morning routine. When you come home from work and you drop your keys, maybe hang your treat pouch up where you hang your keys up, so you can put your keys on the hook and then put your treat pouch on. The reason for this is, one, we want to remove that association, but two, your dog does good behaviors all the time. Think about how often your dog lays down every single day. Why not use that as a trainable moment? Or let's say we have a dog who jumps up every single time that someone comes through the front door. But then one day, your neighbor comes through the front door and your dog just goes, I don't really care about that. We need to reward that behavior. And if you don't have your treat pouch on you, you can't capture it. Plain and simple. That is why you need to wear it all the time. Now, but a lot of people, they then say, but Jordan, you're telling me that we're not going to make my dog rely on the treat pouch by wearing it all the time and giving it to him all the time? That is absolutely correct. Because what happens is, I teach my dog every single time that you do something that I ask for, boop, reward, boop, reward, boop, reward, every single time. Now they go, I want to listen to mom or dad because I'm going to get rewarded. And once we see that your dog has actually learned the task, that's when we start the process of eliminating the treat pouch. Only then. And it's a slow process. Maybe at first, what I do is I still have my treat pouch on, but I make him sit 4 times before I give him a treat. Or maybe I make him sit twice. Maybe I make him sit 5 times before I give him a treat. Or instead of number of repetitions, maybe we work on duration of the command, right?
Now, I think it's important. I think it's important to talk about, there's different stages.
Yeah.
In the beginning, when your dog doesn't know anything and you're teaching new behaviors, you're teaching a sit for the first time, you're teaching the dog to lay down, you're teaching the dog to come when called, you're teaching the dog to go to its place.
Yeah.
When you're first teaching the dog, you're going to be rewarding every time you ask for that behavior. Every time the dog performs and does the behavior, you are rewarding.
Absolutely.
Once your dog understands, and, let's say that I'm training in my living room and I'm just starting to teach my dog to sit, just starting to teach my dog to lay down, to go to its bed or its place. Every single time I ask for that and the dog does it, I'm rewarding.
Absolutely.
But once I can pretty much predict, you know what, the dog's going to do it.
Yeah.
You know, I know what level of distraction I have in my living room. And why did I start there? Because I want little to no distractions to begin with.
Someplace that your dog is familiar with. Something that there aren't things that are going to make your dog go squirrel.
Yes.
You know?
And the thing about the treat pouch, right? You don't want the food in your hand unless you're using it as a lure. And that is a different story. But you don't want food in your hand. You want to ask for the behavior. The dog does the behavior. You mark the behavior. You reach in the treat pouch. You reward the dog every single time. Now, once the dog understands the behavior, let's say that, you know, and this could be in the first training session. Maybe not. It could be the 10th. Depends on the dog. But if I can reliably predict, okay, the dog's going to do another down, that's when I'm going to start to vary my reward. Maybe I start doing it every other.
Yeah.
Then maybe I start doing it. Okay, sometimes on the third behavior, I'm going to give you a reward. So I might ask for sit, release the dog, sit, release the dog, sit. And I give the dog a food reward on that third behavior. So I might give it after the first, after the third, after the fourth, after the second behavior. I might give 2, I might 3 treats. I'm going to mix up. Think about a slot machine. When you're in Vegas, how does a slot machine pay out? It doesn't always pay out, but it does
just enough.
Most polls,
enough.
Yep. And sometimes you'll get a jackpot, you'll get more, sometimes you'll get less. I give a dog a jackpot or give them more if they did something really well that they were struggling with. Okay. But I'm going to say this to trainers as well as pet parents. And I'm guilty of this. You're using too much food. Yeah. Listen, I'm the first one to say, listen, you need to use food in training. It's a huge motivator. Those people that are anti-using food, hey, you're hurting yourself.
Absolutely.
You're just making this harder for you, okay? But I get it. You don't want your dog dependent on the food rewards. Well, we're telling you how to use food rewards where you can get your dog trained quickly, where you can get a dog to be more efficient and perform faster and better. Because if they don't know when they're going to get a treat, but they have a pretty good idea, it won't be long. You know, I just need to do 1 more, or 2 more, or 3 more. When you're mixing up that pattern, the dog's going to work harder and faster. Your dog can get very bored if you're on a 1 sit, 1 treat, 1 sit, 1 treat, 1 sit, 1. Now, listen, in the beginning, you do that when you teach the dog. But when you can predict the dog's going to do the behavior again, you need to vary. You need to vary the rewards.
Absolutely.
Now, here's a question. On those behaviors that you did not give a reward.
Yeah.
Do you give any kind of positive reinforcement? Do you give praise?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If your dog performs for it, think about it like this, Will. If you were doing really good at work, or actually, let's back it up a little bit. You've been struggling at work, okay? You've been struggling to get a task done, a specific task that your boss wants you to do. And your boss has been working on you with it and teaching you how to do it and training you up on how to properly file these reports, okay? And you finally do it. You finally get it right. And your boss goes, good job. I'm super happy. Thank you for doing that. You know what? Since you got it done, I'm going to give you a nice little bonus for today because of your hard work. Boom. That's going to make you feel amazing. You're going to be like, wow, this is actually, I really should do this. And then you keep doing that. And he keeps saying, like, you know, good job and giving you these little bonuses. But then suddenly out of nowhere, you do it right. And your boss says nothing, absolutely nothing. You're probably going to be like, whoa, did I do it wrong? I didn't do this right. I didn't do that. Versus if your boss instead goes, hey, man, you're getting really, really good at this. I think it's time that we advance this task a little bit more. I still want to let you know that what you did was a good job, but we're moving on to the next task. Time to start working on this. You're still going to go, you know what? I did do good. I did do good. But you got rewarded enough that you're like, I can move on to the next thing. Versus your boss saying nothing.
Yeah. And so I think that's important to address, that when you're not giving food, you need to still give that positive reinforcement, give that
Absolutely.
feedback, give that love, praise, affection. Hey, if your dog loves toys,
Yeah.
after you've asked your dog to do a couple repetitions of something, how about then breaking into some play, some excitable play for about a
Yeah.
minute or two? And that play,
Absolutely.
in the play, go back into training for a couple minutes, 2 minutes or so.
Absolutely.
Stop at the end of that and do another 2-3 minutes of play, and then go back into training again. What a
Exactly.
wonderful way to train the dog. And then intermittently, as I'm asking for behaviors, I'm going to give praise and I'm not going into play.
Right.
Intermittently, as I'm asking for behaviors, I'm going to sometimes give a food reward.
Yeah.
The dog doesn't know if it's getting love, praise, affection. The dog doesn't know if it's getting a food reward. The dog doesn't know, hey, are we going to break into play? That's the way. To me, that's the ultimate when you're teaching dogs, very specific
Yeah.
behaviors like sit and down and come. Again, once you can predict, yep, they're going to do it. They've got it. They've done this a few times with me. I know they've got it. Now start to vary the food rewards.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And when you do that, your dog is going to work harder for you, work faster for you. And then eventually, you'll be able to ask for behaviors, and you don't have to have food in your hand. You'll be able to ask for behaviors, and you don't have that treat pouch on, and your dog is doing the behavior just as well because that treat pouch has been on you, and there have been lots of times the dog didn't get anything.
Absolutely.
So the treat pouch on you doesn't necessarily cue the dog, hey, I'm getting a food reward.
Right.
So those are the two things. Making sure that you have a treat pouch. How do you use it? Why do you keep it on at all times? How do you use food the correct way in training? And I'm guilty. I use too much food.
Yeah.
I don't vary the rewards. I wait way too long to start doing that.
Absolutely.
And I wrote an article. I'm not done with it, but I'm writing an article. There is one article. If you go to my website there at dogbehaviorist.com, it's right below my name, dogbehaviorist.com. You then go to the menu, click on articles. There's about 90, 91 articles, something like that on there. There is a brief article on schedules of reinforcement. They talk about different ways to reinforce behaviors with, different reinforcers, and whether it be variable, intermittent, whether it be fixed ratio, variable ratio. So you can check that out on the website at dogbehaviorist.com if you want to learn more about reinforcement schedules. But I wanted to cover that today because it is a thing that people talk about a lot. I don't want to use food. I don't want to have to wear a treat pouch. I don't want my dog depending on this food.
Will, what do you say to the people that go, well, my dog just isn't food motivated?
Every dog is food motivated.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Listen, unless your dog's on a hunger strike, which that doesn't happen. I've never seen a dog commit suicide by going on a hunger strike and not eating. Okay. And you need to find what your dog loves. And it might not be a store-bought treat. It might not be a quote unquote training treat or a training reward.
Yeah.
It might be little pieces of chicken, little pieces of cheese.
I'll go right ahead and say, I go right ahead and tell all of my clients, just get rid of those store-bought treats. Maybe keep them for the occasional, like this stays in my treat pouch at all times, for capturing or the in the moment training session, but I tell every single one of my clients, use the highest value. It's going to be cheaper anyways. Get some chicken breast, boil up those chicken breast. Then you're going to take these boiled chicken breasts, put them onto a platter, paper towels underneath, paper towels on top, and throw them straight into the freezer. Let them get par frozen. Okay. That's just partially frozen, maybe just an hour or two in the freezer, then dice them up, put them into individual Ziploc baggies and throw those baggies in your freezer. Then when it's training time, you just take the baggie out and put it into your treat pouch. Now, if your dog is allergic to chicken, you can alter what meat you're using, of course, but just use something high value. And they're little teeny tiny pieces. In fact, you're the one who taught me. I was using way too big of training
Yeah. It should be about
food
the
rewards.
size of a pea.
Yeah, exactly.
Little, tiny.
2 or 3 fit on the head of a nickel.
Yeah. The smallest amount that you can work with. All right. That also
Absolutely.
gets your dog working harder, and you're not filling the dog up, because once
Yeah.
a dog's full, boom, you're done. It loses its power as the dog keeps eating more. You know, it's that
Absolutely.
first Pringles chip that's got the most power.
I remember you teaching me about the lickums. About
the lick sticks?
Yeah, the lick stick. And I thought you were crazy.
Yeah.
I thought you were crazy. But it's so true what the dog cares about, and what a lick stick is for our listeners and viewers at home is, imagine a roll-on antiperspirant container. It looks exactly like that. And instead,
but it's got
inside
like
of
beef
it,
broth in there,
exactly,
or
or chicken broth,
something like that. Yeah, something
and every
really
lick,
yummy.
you just give it to your dog, and they lick it just like a ballpoint pen, and they lick it, and they get the flavor of that chicken broth. And let me tell you, they love it. They absolutely love it. If
they truly love it, Jordan, if they just are crazy about it, I'll use that for counter conditioning and desensitization.
Oh, absolutely.
Instead
That's
of
so
the squeeze
smart.
bottle.
It's so much easier.
It's
so much easier.
It's so much easier to do that. And so, that is something too. If you're using that, I don't care what you're using, when it comes to rewarding your dog.
Yeah.
All right. Unless you're doing counter conditioning and desensitization, unless you're working with the dog's fears, aggression, reactivity, phobias, anxiety. If you're just doing regular basic behaviors like sit down, come, go to your bed or place, go to your spot, high five, play dead, roll over, those type of things, you don't need to give a reward every time. You do when you're first teaching.
Yeah.
But again, once they get it, now you need to vary the rewards. And that allows you to wean off of food. But here's the other thing. People wean off completely.
Yeah.
Way too soon.
Way too soon.
Listen,
way
too
soon.
I talked about training in my living room and getting to the point where, hey, my dog's predictable, so now I don't have to give food every time. Guess what? I go into a more distracting environment. I'm going to start back, and I'm going to be adding more food rewards to my training. With behaviors, my dog did just fine with only a few food rewards in the living room, but now I'm doing it out in the park, and at a distance, there's some dogs in the distance, and it's harder for my dog. So I need to keep my dog more motivated.
Yeah. And here's the thing. So many people, everybody, especially my generation, we live in that microwave society, and I want it right now. But with my dog, Harley, I haven't done a single training session with her in probably a year. Not one. I'm not even going to lie. I just have not trained with her. But I trained with her multiple times a week, if not every single day, using food rewards for well over a year. And as a result, to this day, if I'm not in a distracting environment, she's still a perfectly behaved dog. And that's because I spent close to 18 months giving her food rewards, giving her positive reinforcement every single time that she did something. Now, of course, I did start to wean off. You don't have to do this for 18 months. Let's get that straight. I trained her to a much different level because she's trained as my service dog. I had to get her at a much different level than what a house dog would be. But to this day, even without training, we practice makes permanence, plain and simple. To this day, I can still reliably count on the fact that she is going to do what I need her to do if we're not in too distracting of an environment. Of course, I need to do some more training with heavy distractions for her, but other than that, it just takes time, guys. Plain and simple. How long? I don't know. It varies from dog to dog. But you can count on probably 6 to 12 months of good training before you have a dog that is going to be trained for quote life. And that training still needs to be upkept, even at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Training is a lifelong thing with your dogs. I don't do formal training sessions with my dogs, but every day we do a few recalls.
Exactly.
And we do recall work when my dogs bark.
Absolutely.
I don't yell at my dogs when they bark, and I don't care what the distraction is.
Yeah.
I tried it the other day. We got a cat that I don't have a cat, but the neighbors have a cat. It just torments my schnauzers, okay, because they can't get the cat. And the cat just taunts them, gets on top of the wall, walks across the wall, and they go nuts.
Yeah.
And so, they're like, barking and doing their thing, I called them to come to me. And, I had to say it pretty firm. I had to do maybe 2 or 3 commands to get them to come, but they came. And that's because when my dogs get distracted outside, I don't care, whatever they hear and they start barking, after a couple barks, if I'm out there, I call them to me. If I can hear them in the house and I'm not busy doing something else, I call them to me.
Yeah. Why do you do that?
Well, there's a couple reasons. It starts to limit excessive barking. I'm creating a pattern. Typically, my dogs only bark a few times, then they come looking for me. Yeah. Because I've been doing this a lot.
Yeah.
All right. Since they've been little.
And that's the honest truth. They do it every single time.
Yeah. And, I don't yell at them for being a dog, first of all. All right. I don't yell no or, all that other crazy stuff, because then I'm just barking with the dog.
What, Will? You mean you don't punish the behavior? Why not?
They're being a dog. I don't need to punish the behavior. First of all, it would be cruel to completely make the dogs mute.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you're never going to eliminate barking 100%. What most people don't like, and what I don't like, is the excessive barking going on and on and on and on and on. Look, dogs are going to bark.
Yeah. We're going to talk.
Give 2, 3, 4 barks and be done.
Yeah.
And so if my dog's experience in life, especially early on, was bark a few times, I call you, you get a food reward. Now, once in a while, they get a food reward. I've got a treat pouch. It sits on the counter. What? It's not on you? No, I've weaned myself off of the treat pouch. I don't have to have it on me anymore.
Yeah.
But there was a time it was on me all the time. There was a time they got a reward every time.
Yeah.
Then those rewards began to be varied, okay? And then sometimes I didn't have the treat pouch on, yet they got a reward. Sometimes I did and they did. Sometimes I had it on and they didn't. All of those things were done. And now, rarely, I don't reward them with food, hardly at all. They get praise every time. I'm really excited every time they come in. Like they gave me the winning lottery ticket,
All the time. When Harley has done something good because I have weaned her off of the treat pouch.
Yeah.
I do the same thing. I'm like, oh, that's a good girl. And I go insane. I don't want to, my fiance is upstairs sleeping, so I'm trying to be a little quiet. But when I go crazy like that, she gets so excited. And quite frankly, Will, I think she enjoys it more than she enjoys the food reward. If I'm being honest.
Some dogs are extremely social. And if you get really excitable with them, they may really, really love that more than food. It just depends. Depends on.
So let me make sure I understand this.
Well, before we do that, I don't know if anybody's hearing that or not, but listen, before we get too far into the show, I want to make sure that we're talking about dog anxiety related to fireworks, because here it is, June 15th, and we are going to be 4th of July is right around the corner.
19 days, Will.
Do you know 52% of dogs have noise fears and phobias? 52% of dogs.
I did not know that. That's a lot.
And when it comes to fireworks, okay, about 10% of those dogs, all right, 10% of the dogs, it takes them a few days to recover. They don't recover right after the fireworks are done. They're nervous, they're fearful, they're anxious for several days after the fireworks have already ended.
Absolutely.
And then there's about another 12% or so that it takes them a couple hours after the fireworks before they settle down. Then there's 2% of dogs that a week or longer after the 4th of July for them to be back to normal. So this is a huge deal. You know, I'm not going to get into other species too much, but my gosh, if you're a bird and things are blowing up in the sky around you, imagine the fear.
Yeah.
Imagine it's not just your dogs. Okay. Listen, I love fireworks just like everybody else. And I don't think it's going away.
No, they aren't.
But I'm home with my dogs every 4th of July. I'm with them. Look, they started out and why? Genetics. Listen, I'm telling you guys, most of your dog's fears of sound is a genetic issue. They're predisposed to that. They've got noise sensitivities.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you know, some are going to develop a trauma where they didn't have it, but then all of a sudden, boom, 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 you know, somebody's blowing off fireworks right by the dog and the dog has a trauma. But the shelters, the county shelter, the pound, the busiest day is the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th of July. Dogs are so freaked out. Many of them are escaping. They're busting through windows, getting outdoors, digging underneath walls, fences, gates. Some are getting hit by cars, getting injured. Some, unfortunately, are dying as a result of this. But many escape and they're in the shelter. And so there's a couple things we need to talk about. First of all, if you've got a dog that has noise sensitivities, there's a couple things. First of all, you've got a few weeks to begin to work on those. And we'll talk a little bit about how you work on counter conditioning and desensitizing your dog to the sound of fireworks. But before we even talk about that, it's really important that you have ID on your dog. So if your dog escapes, there's an ID tag on your dog.
Absolutely.
If you don't have your dog microchipped, consider getting that done before the 4th of July.
Absolutely. And then here's another thing, Will. With the way that technology is moving, there are so many options out there, whether you get an air tag for your dog's collar or they have these GPS tracker chips that you're going to spend 20, 30, you could spend $100+ on them, but they've got cheap ones for 20, 30 bucks. Think about it, folks. Is finding your dog after it runs away worth $20 or $30 to you? I think so. Technology has advanced so far. They have these apps where if your dog gets out, you just pull up the app and it pings your dog's collar and it shows you exactly where they are. When your dog gets lost out there, it is terrified. Have you ever seen a dog running around on the streets and it is so scared? I don't want that for my dog. Start making these preventative options that are going to set your dog up for success. But anyways, back to you, Will.
Now, one of the things I want to talk about first is what you can do if you don't have time to desensitize your dog. Now, first of all, if your dog has severe panic, right? What am I talking about? I'm talking about a dog that might defecate itself.
Yeah.
Okay. Lose its bowel and bladder. A dog that is trembling, the tail tucked, dog that might be drooling profusely. The heart rate is just going crazy. The dog's respiration is high. Listen, your dog's having a panic attack.
Absolutely.
And that is dangerous. Physiologically, that is dangerous for your dog. If you've got a dog that panics like that, you should consider getting an appointment with your veterinarian and discussing with your vet that, hey, my dog panics when there are fireworks. And talk about the possibility with your veterinarian, if your veterinarian thinks it's appropriate, talk about some anxiety medications. Now, got to do this, got to do the disclaimer. All right. I'm not a veterinarian. I can't give out medical advice, but it's just common sense. If your dog has such severe anxiety, consider some medication. Listen, I know there's a lot of people that would love to use something natural.
Yeah.
Okay. But if your dog is so severe, there's probably nothing out there
Will,
that's
if
over the
you
counter
if
that's
you
going to
lose
help.
your arm, if your arm falls off,
Yeah.
are you going to use a
take an
natural
aspirin.
supplement and
Yeah.
take some, or even aspirin?
I'm not even taking
Or-
aspirin,
yeah.
man. Give me
Or-
the morphine, okay?
Exactly. When we have a serious problem, you need serious help. Plain and simple. And
Don't be afraid. It's situational. It's just for
Yeah.
the day, just for a few hours
yeah,
to help your dog. All right. Now,
exactly.
if your dog, has mild anxiety, then a natural supplement like Calm Dogs. And I need to talk for a second, about Calm Dogs.
Absolutely.
Calm Dogs is a supplement that I created. It's all natural. It has 21 ingredients in it. Okay. And they're all natural. Vitamins, herbs, minerals, amino acids. If your dog has mild to moderate anxiety, Calm Dogs at calmdogs.com, or easier yet, doganxiety.com. It comes with a 60-day money-back guarantee. Now, you've got to take it every day for 45 days. Got to take it twice a day. You've got to take it as prescribed. But if you do that, I guarantee it's going to help your dog. If it doesn't, I'll refund your money 100%. If you use Calm Dogs for 45 days, twice daily, give your dog the correct dose based on the weight that's on the bottle, and it does not help your dog, I'll refund your money.
Absolutely.
It's just that simple. So you can get that at doganxiety.com. You can get that at calmdogs.com. That's the only place you can get it.
Yeah.
All right.
And here's the thing. In addition to supplementation or medication, I think it's also important that we set up a safe space
Absolutely.
for our
That was
dogs.
the next thing I was going to get into. So why don't you take that over?
So fun fact of the day. And you taught me this originally, but according to the American Kennel Club, the most calming music for dogs is reggae, other soft music. They say classical music, but they say something between a BPM of 50 to 60 is what the American Kennel Club, I'm looking at it right now, 50 to 60 BPM. And what you're going to do is you're going to find the most centralized closet in your home.
Closet. Why the closet?
The closet, because it's going to be a nice, small, quiet space.
And why is it so quiet in the closet?
It's quiet because it's going to remain, it's going to be insulated. You're not going to take out the
with
clothes.
all the clothes. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, you're not going to remove the clothes.
All those clothes, they're like sound dampening material.
Absolutely.
The quietest place in your house is your closet.
Keep the clothes in there. Put your dog's bed in there. Maybe
With
a little
you.
bowl of water. You're going to put in a little speaker, some high value food, maybe his favorite toy, and you're going to play some reggae. It's going to be super
That's your
calming
white noise
and
to
relaxing.
Kind of drown out the fireworks, right?
Exactly.
Not only helping the dog relax, but drowning out the sound of the fireworks.
Exactly.
Because we're in the closet, which is like a sound dampening room. We've got background music, the reggae.
Yeah.
And we can play games with the dog.
Yeah.
You're talking about having favorite treats in there, food, water. Okay. Play games with the dog. You need to be with your dog.
Yeah. So many people say, but I don't want to coddle my dog. This isn't coddling.
You do.
For one, yes, you do.
Coddling does not reinforce fear.
Exactly.
Okay? Coddling does not reinforce fear.
No, it does not. And think about it.
It's a myth. It's a myth.
Think about when you're stressed out and you go to an all-day, all-inclusive spa. How you feel after that spa. You're nice and happy and relaxed and calm. That's what you're doing for your dog here. Instead of them having to deal with the big, scary, loud fireworks, you're creating their own personal in-home spa. That's all it is. It's a nice spa day.
Exactly.
And call me a coddler. Call me soft. Good. I want to be. That's what I'm going to do for my dog because it's scary. It's loud. Have you I as a human being, as a man, as a veteran with PTSD, I remember how it felt my very first 4th of July before I got help. I could only imagine how a dog with those same problems can feel with their heightened sense of hearing.
Yeah.
I can only imagine what it's like. And that's terrifying. So now that we've talked about medication, we've talked about supplementation, we've talked about setting up a closet, a safe space for your dog. What do I do in the meantime, Will? What do I do to prepare? How do I have time to help my dog with these fireworks coming up in 19 days?
Well, let me just say this, okay? We'll talk about what you can do, but I want folks to know they can go to my website at dogbehaviorist.com, and they just go ahead and click on articles. And the first article you're going to see, if you do this pretty quickly, because this was published on June 8th, is how to help your dogs overcome firework anxiety and tips and solutions. And that's going to be a comprehensive guide. And it's going to go through in greater detail everything that you need to understand.
Absolutely.
To help your dog when it comes to the 4th of July and how you deal with the fireworks. Okay.
Yeah.
But basically, one of the things, all right, we're back. You've got a little bit of time right now. You've got what, 3 weeks, maybe?
Yeah. About 19 days.
So if your dog is mild to moderately afraid, there's probably a lot you can do in those next 3 weeks or so.
Absolutely.
To help desensitize your dog to the sound of the fireworks. Now, even if you've got a dog that's severe.
Yeah.
All right, we want you to do this, okay? Now,
yeah.
You need to find recorded firework sounds.
How do I do that? Where can I get them from, though?
Easy to do. You can go to phoenixdogtraining.com. That's phoenixdogtraining.com /sounds. phoenixdogtraining.com /sounds. I've got all kinds of different recorded sounds. And if you scroll through them on that page, you're going to find one that's fireworks. Now, you're also going to hear me talk about the protocol, how to desensitize your dog to fireworks. And it's got the recorded fireworks sounds. Okay. So check that out. Yep. You're going to go to phoenixdogtraining.com /sounds. Jordan's pulling that up right now on his phone. Find that YouTube video I've got there on fireworks. It'll tell you how to desensitize. It'll also have the sounds. But Jordan,
right there.
Why don't you just kind of give everybody a crash course?
Yeah.
On how you do counter conditioning and desensitization.
Absolutely.
With the sound of fireworks that are recorded.
So now, the first thing that you're going to do is if you don't have a dog that's already place trained or trained how to, sit on an elevated cot or whatever it is, lay on their bed and stay there, that's fine. That'll be okay. Now, in a perfect world, you do want to put your dog on something like place. Now, I'm going to take a speaker and I'm going to move it as far away from my dog as I possibly can. And I'm going to turn that volume down as low as I possibly can to where I promise you, if you can hear it, your dog can hear it. But when I press play on that sound, if your dog goes, and he's looking at it, he starts shaking, or, we start getting fear or drool or any type of reaction when that sound starts, it's too loud. We need to turn it down more. And or move it further away. Any way to lower the level of this trigger. Once I've got it at a volume that my dog, I press play and I get no response from my dog. None. Absolutely no stress signals whatsoever. And you can hear it, so your dog can hear it. The moment I hit play, I will immediately, with something very high value, chicken, steak, fish, cheese, whatever is your dog's favorite, absolute favorite food, feed, nonstop, just shoveling food into his mouth. And then I'm going to pause the sound and stop feeding. I'll do this for approximately 5 to 15 seconds. Then I'm going to wait for 5 to 15 seconds, no sound. I'll hit play. Feed, 5 to 15 seconds. Pause, stop feeding. You have to make sure that it goes sound starts, then within half a second later, the feeding starts. The reason why we want it to be like that is because in your dog's brain, that little tiny pause is going to turn the fireworks into we talked about this earlier, cue for food. Just like how your dog sees you pick up the leash and goes, "Oh, I'm going outside." What's going to happen in your dog's brain? They're going to start hearing fireworks and go, "Oh, I get food." Instead of, "Oh, these are big and scary and loud." Now, I know that it's not at the volume that the fireworks are going to be, but this is where we start. After we've practiced this for about 5 to 15 minutes, that's one session. Lots of 5s to 15. We're doing it 5 to 15 seconds on, 5 to 15 seconds off for 5 to 15 minutes. Now, you only have to do this, I would say, 1 to 3 times per day. The more the better, of course. The more the better. But at a minimum, 1 to 3 times. That's it. Now, after I've practiced this for a couple days, a week, 2 weeks, I know that we are running out of time here, but after I've practiced it, then I turn the volume up 1 click, maybe 2. I don't know. Your dog decides. If I turn the volume up 2 clicks and my dog is suddenly reacting, I need to go back. I need to turn it down 1 click and start there. Your dog tells you how far to go, and guess what? We start the same process. Play, feed, pause, stop feeding. And I will continue doing this, slowly increasing. Now, here's the next part. Dogs live on patterns. I do not want my dog to pick up on the pattern that it is getting gradually louder. So that means sometimes I'm going to turn it back down to volume 1. Sometimes I'll turn it up 1 click. Sometimes I put it right in the middle of the 2. I got to keep my dog guessing, but I make these sessions short. I do not make them guessable, and I make them fun. The moment that the session ends, I want to explode with happiness and fun and love and make sure that my dog knows sound is gone. We're having fun. This is a fun thing. Let's put it back. And maybe even disperse some explosions of fun throughout the training session. But it's important that those explosions of fun occur when the sound is off. I want the only correlation in my dog's brain to be sound on, food on, sound off, food off. And that is it in a nutshell, counter conditioning and desensitization.
You know, you talked about patterns and that dogs absolutely, the way their brains work, the way they think, the way they process information, everything is a huge pattern, what they're looking for. They're looking at, okay, how do I make sense out of the world? What type of associations can I bring together so that the world makes sense to me?
Exactly.
I want to talk about, and hopefully you can see this, and this is the Super Bowl pattern game. Okay. And this is again on my website at dogbehaviorist.com. Go to dogbehaviorist.com, click on articles. You can find the Super Bowl pattern game there. This is a pattern game that was developed by Leslie McDevitt. There's also, besides me talking in detail, writing in detail what the process is, there's 2 videos. You see the one at the top. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to begin to play this video here.
So this is going to be like the up and down game, but he's going to use it to tell you to move forward. Okay. So you're going to put the treat down. Yeah.
Don't you know? Yeah, you can be
Click when it looks up.
Yeah. Cutie. Yes, that's very good.
So you get a little pattern going here, a little rhythm. Yeah. Then you're going to look up, click, take it and put it on the next one.
Yes, so that gives it the, you move on.
Oh, yeah, he's moving his head. If he looks at you, like, show it, and have go on to the next one. So that's your time.
Nice job.
So just wait, because he's in charge. He doesn't have to do it, he can stand where he is. All right, and then if you get to the end, you can go back. Okay, so now you keep going. Wait for him to look at you. Put the next one down. Stand still. Yes, good job, Ethel. People want to just keep talking, but this is about the dog.
And, I think that the bowl pattern game is super, super effective, but I know that you're a lot more familiar with it. So I'm curious how you apply this, Will.
One of the things that's, when you've got a dog that has a lot of fear.
Yeah.
And when you think about fear, a lot of times it's the fear of the unknown.
Absolutely.
Okay? If I'm familiar with something, if I'm going somewhere where I understand how things work, I'm familiar, there's patterns, and I'm a dog, I'm going to feel a lot more comfortable than being in a situation that's brand new for me. Okay. So whether I'm using this for desensitization, whether I'm using this for distractions, okay. It looks like you're just feeding the dog, but the way it works, basically, you get about 6 paper plates, 6 bowls, whatever you want. Okay. You take a treat, you bring it to the dog's nose and mouth, and you lure them down to that disc or that plate or that bowl. When they get down to that bowl, you let the treat go, they eat it. Then you lure them with that treat to the next bowl and you bring it down as a lure and you feed them. Then you stand still. The dog's going to look up at you like, hey, where's the food?
Yeah.
As soon as the dog looks up at you and engages with you, that's when you're going to mark and reward, whether it's yes, whether it's a click. Then you're going to lure the dog to the next bowl, put the food down. Wait, the dog looks up at you after it eats it. Then again, the dog engaged. Mark that behavior. Lure the dog to the next bowl. Put the food in that bowl. Wait for the dog to look up at you. Then when you get through all the bowls, come back the other way. You're creating a pattern that's familiar.
Yeah.
You're creating a pattern of positivity. Imagine if you've got a dog that's afraid to go around other dogs.
Yeah.
And you start at a safe distance from other dogs. Let's just say we'll throw it out arbitrarily, 50 feet. At 50 feet, your dog sees other dogs, but really doesn't have a care in the world. If we get to 30 feet, your dog's nervous, okay? So we're at 50 feet. Your dog really doesn't have a care in the world. But not only are there strange dogs there, but we've brought something familiar with us. We started conditioning the dog in the Super Bowl pattern game at home where there was nothing scary. And now I'm able to take this game, this positivity, this thing that's familiar, this pattern, the dog understands it. And I can get the dog moving from bowl to bowl, and I can get the dog focused on me. Imagine doing this game around distractions, teaching the dog to stay focused on you. But it's the same thing if your dog has aggression or fears, okay, of dogs or people. You start at a safe distance, and I start, let's say I've got 5 bowls in the direction of the other dog. Well, as I'm doing this and we're moving 5 bowls closer to the other dog, and the dog is like, yeah, I'm not taking that food. I'm at bowl number 3. Well, that tells me I'm too close.
Yeah.
The dog's over threshold with its fear, or the dog might start becoming aggressive at that point, right?
Yeah.
So the dog lets me know. But the beautiful thing about the game is that we always go back again. So it's not just about going forward, it's about going backward, which relieves the pressure if we're using this Super Bowl pattern game to start moving the dog into environments and situations where it's uncomfortable.
Now,
but again,
how do
starting at a comfortable distance.
Now, how do I add bowls to get the distance shorter? Am I doing that in the moment, or how does that work?
Well, it depends on the dog, but let's say you've got 5 or 6 bowls that you have set up. All right. And you go forward through all of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then as you're going backwards, all right, you can pick up a bowl And then as you go forward again, that bowl you picked up, you can add.
Okay.
And
that
now
makes
you
sense.
get on the next pass, you're going one bowl further. You could pick up 2 bowls on the way back. And then as you turn and go back the other way, now you can add another bowl. You can add another bowl. Now, you may do a session where you don't add any bowls.
Yeah.
Your dog might be doing really well and you add bowls. So imagine I've got a dog that's afraid to go to the vet's office. Okay. I may have 1 bowl inside the vet's office and I've got 5 outside the door. And we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We open the door 6. And guess what? We get the hell out of there and go back the other way.
And now as I'm going backwards, so I'm rewarding forward and backwards at each bowl.
I am. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's relieving a lot of pressure for the dog. Okay. Yeah. And it lets the dog know, hey, we're not always going to keep moving forward. Matter of fact, we're moving backwards.
Right.
Okay. And the dog has
still
the
fun.
option. Oh yeah, it's still fun.
Yeah.
And then maybe I spend a week, maybe I do 3-4 sessions that week, just going in 1 bowl.
Right.
Maybe we did that 10 times. You went in the vet's office, 1 bowl. That's it. We had 5 outside, 1 inside. We've only gone in 1 bowl. Maybe we did that 5 or 10 times. We're done. We do that maybe 3, 4, 5 times a week. Now maybe I can add 2 bowls.
Yeah. And here's the thing,
3
folks.
Bowls.
And here's the thing. Even though we're saying, vet office or whatever, you don't have to do this. You don't have to do this just on a day that you have a vet appointment. In fact, I recommend that you don't. I recommend that you talk to your veterinarian and say, hey, I've been working with a behavior specialist, or I've been watching this behavior podcast, and this is the idea that I have to help my dog get through this fear, and come to your vet office 2-3 times a week. If your veterinarian says that you're not allowed to do that, you probably need to find a new veterinarian anyways. Yeah. Because they don't care about the well-being of your dog.
You can use the Super Bowl pattern game for any dog that has fears, anxieties, phobias, aggression, reactivity. You can use this Super Bowl pattern game while you're trying to desensitize your dog to fireworks.
Absolutely.
If the volume is low enough,
movement dissipates stress.
And we're creating a pattern. We're creating something fun. We're pairing it with low volume fireworks, which the dog doesn't care about. Little by little, we start adding volume as the dog handles it.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, here comes the 4th of July. And depending upon if I've got a dog that's mild to moderate, I might be able to use that Super Bowl pattern game to really reduce the dog's level of stress and anxiety. If the dog won't take the food on the 4th, well, that just means we're not there yet.
Absolutely.
We didn't do enough work. We didn't have enough time. We didn't put in the time. What are we going to do?
Absolutely.
Well, we're going to put the dog in that safe place that you were talking about earlier.
Exactly.
Making sure that the dog is got a quiet, safe place to be on the 4th of July.
Absolutely. And as we're getting close to wrapping up here, folks, do we have any questions whatsoever? We've got about 2 minutes left in our show today, and I would love for any one of our viewers, if you have a question about what we've talked about today, or even maybe something that's small and unrelated, please ask it there. You got about 2 minutes left before we head out. But in the meantime, Will, I guess when it comes to this Super Bowl pattern, how do I determine that my dog is ready to move forward or if I need to move backwards?
Well, you're going to do that with canine body language.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to understand what little signs that your dog puts off in its canine body language that say, hey, I'm stressed out.
Right.
Now, definitely if it doesn't want to take the food, doesn't want to move forward, that's a really dramatic sign.
Yeah.
But your dog might start doing some tongue flicks or lip licking. Okay. You might see the pupils dilate a little bit. Your dog might start panting a little bit. All right? The breathing rate changes, faster, shallow breathing. Okay. The dog's ears might
lowered stature.
Ears might go back, tail might start going down, hair might start rising, piloerection.
My favorite word.
Back, your favorite word. Yes,
my favorite word.
But those are some things. And if you want to learn more about canine body language, you can go again to my website at dogbehaviorist.com, go to articles and find the article, probably my own alarm that's going off there. Find the article on canine body language. And when you do that, then you're going to learn all about what things are causing the dog discomfort. And hey, you're going to be like, I never knew that little thing the dog did, that little quirk in its body language meant that it's nervous. But it's important to know that. So understanding that canine body language is absolutely critical. Well, that music means, we're out of time. I've got to go head out and go to a training session. I'm working with a dog that is got some resource guarding with people. But we're here each Saturday morning, and we'll be back next Saturday. So
absolutely,
we'll be here at the same time. Check back to the Dog Training Today Facebook page. Again, please hit that like button, hit that share button so more people can benefit from this. If you're listening or watching on YouTube, hit the bell, hit the like button for us as well. And if you're listening to a podcast, please give us a 5-star review. All right, folks, we are out of here. We'll see you next Saturday. Take care.
Have a good one.